This is the closing threshold. What began in warning now ends in confirmation. Archangel Michael says this is the moment where heaven steps back, not because protection ends, but because authority has been transferred. You are no longer being carried through the battle. You are now walking with what the battle built inside you. This distinction matters. When heaven carries you, survival is the goal. When heaven equips you, stewardship becomes the purpose. You are no longer surviving spiritual pressure, you are managing spiritual territory. The enemy understands this clearly. That is why there is no longer direct confrontation. Confrontation would acknowledge authority. Instead, darkness remains distant, silent, restrained. Distance is not peace, it is surrender. Michael confirms that what once followed you has been reassigned away from your path. You may still remember the weight, but you will not feel it again. Memory without control is proof of freedom. Control is what has been removed. As this chapter closes, Michael instructs you to mark this moment internally. Not with fear. Not with celebration. With resolve. Resolve is quiet. Resolve does not announce itself. Resolve simply moves forward consistently. Heaven responds to resolve with provision, with direction, with reinforcement when needed. But heaven does not babysit authority. Authority must be exercised. You will notice that your tolerance for chaos is gone. What once felt normal will now feel unacceptable. This is not intolerance. This is order restoring itself. Order is the natural state of aligned authority. Chaos only existed because interference was present. That interference is gone. Michael says you will now begin to recognize doors that were always meant for you but could not open while the battle continued. These doors will not demand struggle. They will open with clarity. If you have to force something now, question it. Destiny does not require force. Requires readiness. Readiness has been established. You will also recognize when something is not for you more quickly. Confusion will not linger like before. Discernment will be immediate. This is one of the strongest signs of authority settling. Delay belonged to the old season. Clarity belongs to this one. Michael gives one final caution. Do not measure your future by your past pace. Acceleration does not always look fast. Sometimes it looks stable. Stability allows longevity. Heaven is not rushing you into collapse. Heaven is positioning you for endurance. Endurance outlasts excitement. Build what can last. As the epilogue completes, Michael releases this final truth. Destiny is not dramatic. Destiny is consistent. It is built in choices that feel small but align deeply. Darkness tried to stop you because it understood this. It knew that once consistency replaced confusion, its influence would end permanently. And it has. The cycle is closed. The door behind you is sealed. Not locked, sealed. What is sealed by heaven is not reopened by emotion, memory, or fear. You are free. Not emotionally free. Functionally free. Operationally free. Assigned, aligned, protected, and aware. Archangel Michael stands as witness, not as warning now, but as confirmation. The message is complete. The instruction is clear. Walk forward. Do not look back for validation. Do not slow down for approval. Do not shrink to remain familiar. The path ahead will unfold as you move, not before. Authority responds to motion. Destiny responds to obedience. And heaven responds to alignment. This is not the end. This is the beginning without interference. And you are ready. This is where everything settles. Not with noise, not with emotion, but with certainty. Archangel Michael says this is the phase where truth no longer needs reinforcement. It stands on its own. You have crossed from becoming into being. What once required effort now operates as instinct. What once demanded courage now feels natural. This is how authority is confirmed, not when fear disappears, but when fear no longer influences choice. Michael says heaven marks this moment quietly. No announcement. No spectacle. Just confirmation. Confirmation that you can now be trusted to walk without constant correction. Trusted to choose without pressure. Trusted to remain aligned even when unseen. This trust is rare. It is earned through endurance, not enthusiasm. You endured when clarity was absent. You remained when answers were delayed. You stood when retreat felt easier. And now, standing has become who you are. Darkness no longer studies you. It has moved on, recognizing it no longer has leverage. Influence without leverage cannot function. The chapter of interference is not just closed, it is irrelevant. Michael says the most powerful victories are the ones that make the enemy unnecessary to fight again. That is what has happened here. As this phase unfolds, life may feel quieter than expected. No urgency. No intensity. Just steady movement. Do not underestimate this. Quiet progress builds what chaos never could. Chaos forces reaction. Quiet allows creation. You are now in a creative season. Not creative in imagination, but creative in execution. You will build, establish, steward, and protect what is entrusted to you. And you will do so without losing yourself. That is the mark of maturity. Michael reveals that your discernment is now internalized. You will not need constant signs to know when to move or pause. You will sense alignment. Immediately. This is wisdom functioning as instinct. Trust it. Second-guessing belongs to the old season. You are not reckless now, you are rooted. Roots do not rush. They hold. As responsibility increases, remember this instruction: never use authority to dominate what you were once called to protect. Authority that serves preserves alignment. Authority that seeks control invites resistance. Heaven grants authority for order, not ego. Remain grounded. Remain teachable. Even when confident. Especially when confident. Michael assures you that humility will keep doors open that strength alone cannot. You will encounter moments ahead where your past would have reacted emotionally. Now, you will respond strategically. This continuation moves deeper, where silence carries weight and consequences respond faster than intention. Archangel Michael says this is the level where mistakes no longer shout before they strike. They whisper. They disguise themselves as harmless delays, small permissions, subtle comforts. This is why vigilance now must be internal, not external. External threats have already been neutralized. Internal discipline is what determines permanence. You are no longer being tested for strength. You are being tested for consistency. Consistency reveals who can be trusted with continuation. Many reach authority. Few keep it. Keeping it requires restraint when reaction feels justified, silence when ego wants defense, and patience when speed feels possible. Michael says the most dangerous season for a prepared soul is comfort without awareness. Comfort dulls perception. Perception protects destiny. Never allow ease to replace attentiveness. Attentiveness does not mean anxiety. It means presence. You must remain present in your choices, not drifting through days assuming alignment will maintain itself. Alignment responds to intention backed by discipline. Without discipline, intention weakens. This is not a threat. This is instruction. Heaven is precise. Precision does not tolerate carelessness. As your influence stabilizes, you will notice that consequences respond quicker than before. When aligned, small deviations produce immediate discomfort. This is mercy, not punishment. Mercy alerts early so damage does not grow. Do not resist this signal. Respond to it. Correction now takes moments. Ignoring it creates cycles. Cycles waste time. Time is now valuable. Michael says time is no longer abundant for correction, it is allocated for execution. Execution requires clarity. Clarity requires honesty. Be honest with yourself before you demand honesty from the world. You are entering a phase where people may misunderstand your boundaries. They may label you distant, cold, or Chan. Apologize for growth that preserves your assignment. Growth always creates distance from what cannot follow. That distance is not rejection. It is alignment choosing survival. Michael warns, do not attempt to drag the unprepared into a season they did not endure to reach. It will slow you and damage them. Each soul has its own timing. Respect it. You will feel an increased responsibility to choose wisely who has access to you. Access now affects outcome. Not everyone who supports you deserves proximity. Support from a distance is still support. Proximity is reserved for those who protect alignment, not just emotion. Emotional loyalty without discipline creates instability. Stability now matters more than sentiment. Michael's voice becomes firmer here. He says do not romanticize your past battles. They trained you, but they are not your identity. Living in memory weakens momentum. Momentum requires forward focus. Honor the past, but do not live there. The past is evidence, not residence. You reside in responsibility now. Responsibility does not entertain distraction. It manages it. You will sense moments where you could speak and gain attention. Choose silence if speech does not build. Silence now carries authority. When you speak, words must land with weight, not volume. Volume attracts reaction. Weight creates movement. You are meant to create movement. Movement toward order. Movement toward clarity. Movement toward structure. Michael says darkness retreats not when confronted loudly, but when order enters quietly. Order disrupts chaos at its root. You are a carrier of order now. This is why your life must reflect it. Disorder in private weakens authority in public. Guard your private world. What you tolerate there determines what you can command elsewhere. As this part deepens, Michael issues a stark truth. Not everyone who recognizes your authority will celebrate it. Some will test it subtly. Some will challenge it indirectly. Do not engage. Emotionally. Emotional engagement feeds resistance. Respond with consistency. Consistency dissolves challenge. Over time, resistance either aligns or removes itself. Let it remove itself. You are not assigned to chase acceptance. You are assigned to maintain alignment. Acceptance follows alignment naturally. Fear may attempt to return in a refined form, not panic, but hesitation disguised as wisdom. Question hesitation carefully. Wisdom produces peace. Fear produces tension. Learn the difference. You already know it, but now you must trust it without debate. Debate invites delay. Delay invites doubt. Doubt erodes execution. Michael says decisive calm is your new standard. Calm does not mean passive. Calm means unshaken. Unshaken people move with authority even when quiet. You will also encounter moments of isolation, not because you are abandoned, but because your frequency has narrowed. Narrow paths require focus. Focus reduces noise. Noise reduction can feel lonely if misunderstood. Do not fill the silence with unnecessary connection. Silence is doing its work. In silence, clarity strengthens. In clarity, authority sharpens. Michael affirms that protection remains absolute, but protection does not replace responsibility. Protection guards you from interference, not from consequence of choice. Choose well. You are capable now. This is not pressure. This is recognition. Heaven recognizes capacity before it increases demand. Demand will increase. Not suddenly. Gradually. Enough to stretch, not break. Stretching strengthens structure. Breaking wastes preparation. You were prepared too thoroughly to break now. As Part 11b approaches its close, Michael seals this continuation with final instruction. Walk forward without nostalgia. Without fear. Without haste. Maintain order. Protect discipline. Honor structure. Choose peace. Execute with patience. Authority remains active because alignment remains intact. And as long as alignment is maintained, no force, seen or unseen, can. This layer is not spoken to many. Archangel Michael says this is where truth no longer comforts, it stabilizes. At this level, the mind becomes the final battlefield, not because it is weak, but because it is powerful. Power, when unmanaged, turns inward. This is why many who survive darkness still collapse later, because they underestimate the mind after victory. Michael warns that psychological drift is more dangerous than spiritual attack. Spiritual attacks are obvious. Psychological erosion is subtle. It does not shout. It repeats. Repetition without examination reshapes belief. Belief shapes behavior. Behavior determines outcome. You must now guard what you repeatedly tell yourself. Not every thought deserves agreement. Not every feeling deserves obedience. Discipline at this stage is mental before it is spiritual. You are no longer fighting demons, you are managing narratives. Narratives either reinforce alignment or slowly distort it. Distortion never begins as rebellion. It begins as justification. Justification weakens accountability. Accountability preserves authority. Michael's voice is firm here. He says never justify what requires correction. Correction is not condemnation. It is maintenance. Maintenance protects longevity. You will notice that fatigue now affects your perception faster than before. Tiredness will attempt to rewrite truth. When tired, the mind exaggerates threat and minimizes strength. Do not make permanent decisions in temporary exhaustion. Rest is no longer optional. Rest is strategic. Strategic rest preserves clarity. Clarity preserves authority. Ignoring rest will not make you stronger, it will make you careless. Carelessness is how aligned people fall without realizing it. Michael emphasizes that vigilance does not mean constant alertness. It means knowing when to pause. Pausing is not retreat. Pausing is recalibration. Without recalibration, direction slowly bends. A small bend over time becomes deviation. Deviation produces regret. Unmanaged. Manage silence. Silence must be filled with truth, not emptiness. Emptiness invites intrusion. Truth stabilizes space. Michael says your inner environment now determines your external authority. Disorder inside weakens command outside. This is law, not opinion. You will also experience moments where isolation feels heavier than before. This is not abandonment. This is refinement. Refinement removes unnecessary noise. Noise previously distracted you from pain. Now, silence exposes unresolved tension. Address it. Do not suppress it. Suppression creates pressure. Pressure eventually demands release. Release without control causes damage. Controlled processing strengthens resilience. You are allowed to feel, but you are not allowed to surrender structure. Structure keeps feeling from becoming identity. Feelings pass. Identity remains. Michael warns against merging your identity with emotion. Emotion is a signal, not a ruler. Signals inform, rulers command. Do not confuse the two. At this depth, even success can become dangerous. Success feeds comfort. Comfort feeds complacency. Complacency dulls discernment. Discernment keeps you alive spiritually. Never assume victory means immunity. Immunity does not exist. Awareness does. Maintain awareness. Michael speaks sharply now. He says many fall not because they disobeyed God, but because they stopped listening. Listening is not hearing words, it is responding to subtle checks. Subtle checks are quiet. Pride is loud. Pride drowns subtlety. Guard against internal pride disguised as confidence. Confidence remains teachable. Pride resists correction. If correction irritates you, examine yourself immediately. Irritation is a warning signal at this level. Warning signals are merciful. Heed them. Another. Truth emerges here. You may begin to feel disconnected from people who once understood you. This is natural. Growth changes language. Do not force translation. Forcing translation drains energy and creates frustration. Speak where you are received. Be silent where you are not. Silence is not weakness. Silence is conservation. Conservation protects stamina. Stamina is required now more than strength. Strength bursts. Stamina endures. Endurance completes assignments. Michael says you are no longer sprinting. You are carrying weight across distance. Distance demands rhythm. Rhythm demands discipline. Discipline demands sacrifice. Sacrifice is no longer dramatic, it is daily. Daily sacrifice is choosing alignment when no one sees. Heaven sees. That is enough. As this part deepens, Michael addresses fear directly. Fear will not return as terror. It will return as hesitation masked as logic. Logic without peace is fear wearing intelligence. Test every hesitation by peace. If peace withdraws, do not proceed. If peace remains, move even if uncertain. Peace is now your authority confirmation. Do not override it to please others or satisfy impatience. Impatience creates errors. Errors at this level cost time, not lessons. Lessons were learned earlier. Now, mistakes cost progress. Progress is sacred now. Guard it. The psychological pressure of responsibility may feel heavy at times. Heavy does not mean wrong. Heavy means valuable. Light things are easily carried and easily dropped. Heavy things require intention. Intention keeps grip firm. Michael reassures you that pressure will never exceed capacity. Capacity has been expanded. What feels heavy now would have crushed the earlier version of you. That version no longer exists. Do not reference it for limits. Reference it only for gratitude. You are stronger, sharper, and more disciplined than you realize. Doubt here is not truth, it is adjustment pain. Adjustment pain fades as structure stabilizes. Finally, Michael seals Part 11.